As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been tested and laughed for so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. I never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. To be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying to jump. I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As I croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. I'm the kind of chain the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been spending most of their lives living in a gangsta paradise. Been spending most of their lives living in a gangsta's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in a gangsta's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in a gangsta's paradise. Look at the situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the streets, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. I got a 10 in my hand and giving me my eye. Loped out kicks to set tripping banger. My homies is down, so don't arouse my anger. Living life, do or die, what can I say? I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24? The way things going, I don't know. Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Power and the money, money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour. Everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking. I'm going to the kitchen on it. I don't know what's cooking. They say I gotta learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I know my life is not a lark fool. Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster paradise. Most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Most of the Bible has been disproven. No. There is zero evidence that Jesus existed. Oh my God.
Refresh your space with a mid-century makeover at Ashley.
Zero evidence Jesus existed, yeah. This is like the opposite of what the Muslims do.
What's up, bud? No. Jesus drank wine and hung out with 12 dudes all day, talking about the problems of people.
Uh-huh.
Sounds gay.
Okay.
So there's that. And then truth is subjective. You can't experience objectively. If you could experience objectively, then you could harness objective truth. But as a subjective being, you're limited.
Yeah, you sound very limited.
You sound very sleepy.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, what you said is like really dumb. Like
Oh, maybe you should have been a child sacrifice.
to say like truth is subjective is like it doesn't make any sense. It's like
Oh,
saying
okay. Because it
opinion.
doesn't make sense to you. Just doesn't. It's not the way
Well,
it is.
do you think opinions are truth?
Depends on the opinion, doesn't it?
No.
Is it my opinion that the sun will probably come up today?
I mean, I wouldn't
Yes.
say that's an opinion. I would
That's
say
not a fact. You can't say the
it
sun
would be.
will come
It
up
would
is a
be. I would
fact.
say it's a fact. I don't know.
You can't say that that's a fact.
Okay. Well,
It's faith.
never come back. Okay.
Do you believe in faith?
Do I believe in faith?
Finish him. Fatality. Flawless victory. All too easy.
The fuck. Well, the first guy was a real doozy. That was a real doozer. Do you believe in faith? Truth is subjective. We don't know anything, but I'm talking. I don't know anything, but I'm talking and making knowledge claims. It's totally normal. Totally normal. Some heavy ammunition in your can. You got some pump spats, Yahoo and how. You gotta do is rub that lamp and I'll say, Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? Let me take your order, jot it down. You ain't never had a friend like me. Say what you wish, it's yours true dish. How a little bit more about goodbye. Have some of column A, try all of column B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Well, I just wanted to look at swim. And we got a tough guy over here hungry. Ew. Don't be shitting himself. Yeah, he's shitting great. Well, I just wanted to look at swim. And we got a tough guy over here hungry.
We got a tough guy over here. Disney is evil. Evil as hell, man. Have some of column A, try all of column B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. Book is not proof. Book, not evidence. We never read book. Why? We have movie. We watch movie. We don't read book. Book, not evidence. You can't learn from book. That's so weird. Books aren't evidence. I can't find anyone. I'm singing because I can't find anyone to debate. I'm trying to lure them in. Now that God's work has been done in Christ in behalf of man's freedom, the first step to be taken by man is that of recognition. We do not refer to the simple theoretical and abstract knowledge that might be learned from the catechism. At this level, nothing has been done and nothing makes any sense. For freedom, like love, is a matter of life rather than definition. Definition alone, while possible, is futile. The act cannot be reduced to a mere knowledge, for it cannot be detached or dissociated from the one who knows. Nothing relating to freedom takes place on the plane of a separate operation, whether in respect of will, action, or knowledge. Freedom is an implication of the entire person, or it is nothing. Recognition obviously has its intellectual aspects, as we shall see. It presupposes a conceptual and analytical movement, but the relation between the one who recognizes and that which he recognizes cannot be merely that of subject and object. There is no difference between the two, for finally he recognizes himself and he cannot project himself beyond himself. He cannot objectify himself. There are two reasons for this. Objectify themselves. The king, the shah. You're the boss, the king, the shah. Properties of one. Yeah, questions make you uncomfortable. Yeah, best not ask questions. Just don't think too hard. Just do life. Don't think about it. Science exists separate from religion. It exists to find objective truth outside of human bias. Religion is a human. Yeah, but science isn't neutral. Abortion means God won't burn that baby for eternity. How do you know that? I don't. The baby could still go to hell. The passage is describing a deeper understanding of freedom and recognition in relation to God's work through Jesus Christ, particularly in the context of human freedom. So God's work is done for human freedom. God's actions through Christ have already been completed for the sake of human freedom. This freedom isn't something humans can earn on their own. It's a gift that's already been offered. So the next step for humans is to recognize this freedom. But it isn't just about knowing something in a theoretical way, like memorizing facts in a catechism. It's much deeper than that. Freedom it's not something that you understand intellectually. It's something you experience with your whole life. It's like love. It's not just an idea. It's an action and a way of living. simply defining freedom doesn't really capture what it truly means, because it's something that has to be lived and experienced. The person must be fully involved. So the recognition of the freedom can't be something separate or detached from who you are as a person. Your mind, your will, your actions are all involved in this recognition. It's not just an intellectual exercise, it's about you as a whole person engaging with the truth of your freedom. When you recognize your freedom, it's not just about thinking about it like you would think about an object. It's more personal than that. It's about you recognizing yourself and realizing who you truly are in relation to God. You can't separate yourself from this recognition because it's all about your whole being. So we're going to explore two reasons why we can't objectify. You can't separate yourself from your recognition of freedom. You can't turn yourself into an object to be examined. It's something that involves your whole existence, not just something you study or analyze from the outside. So freedom in Christ isn't an idea to understand. It's something that we have to fully recognize and live out by the person. It's the whole enchilada, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. You can't just think about freedom as an abstract idea. You have to experience it and recognize it in yourself because it's something that involves your whole self. Okay, the first is that the reason why we can't objectify ourselves is because we cannot comprehend ourselves by introspection, by depth analysis, by external psychological investment. For it is himself that has to be comprehended. Himself in his singularity, which cannot be reduced to human similarities. What is at issue is freedom, not the objectifying methods of psychological knowledge. Oh, now the objectifying methods of psychological knowledge can deal only with identities, similarities, and determinations. It is from these, however, that man is freed. As we shall see, this is the very thing which he must accept in his recognizing, and not in reification. It is in his uniqueness and distinctiveness that man is called upon to comprehend himself, and this is a lived reality. Although clearly surrounded on all sides by that which can only undermine and reduce and deny it, only the vital movement of self-consideration can cause the self to be truly known in its remoteness and fragility. By the way, if anyone wants to debate any of the subjects, it's open. Although I'm just getting a bunch of like super crazy people lately. Like, I thought the like atheists were crazy, but wow, I'm getting like people thinking they're God and stuff. Which I mean, the atheists do kind of think they're God, but they not like overtly, right? It's at least they're closeted, and they're thinking that they're God. Why do crazy people always think they're God? I have a friend who's lost his mind, and he thinks he has like psychic powers and stuff from Jesus or something. He's totally crazy. I don't even like how to when someone's like totally out Looney Tune, like what do you even do? Like they're so detached from reality that you can't. I guess you just like nothing you can do. I guess pray for them. I guess I don't know. Imagine trying to understand who you truly are, not by just analyzing your thoughts or checking off a list of your personality traits, but by really experiencing your own unique self. So we can't just analyze ourselves. When we look at ourselves through introspection or scientific or like a scientific detached lens, like the methods in psychology, It only breaks us down into bits and pieces, traits, habits, similarities with others. This approach misses the whole picture of who you are. Your true self is unique. Each person is completely unique and cannot be fully described by simple categories or comparisons to others. Your individuality, especially the freedom you have to be who you are, goes beyond any set of traits that can be measured or defined. So, real understanding comes from living it. True self knowledge isn't about theoretical definitions or academic analysis. It's a lived experience, a constant process of recognizing and embracing your freedom and distinctiveness in everyday life. If you try to objectify or reduce yourself to just a list of qualities, you lose the deeper, more fluid understanding of your unique self. So, understanding who you are involves accepting the complexity and even the vulnerability of your true nature. So, we can't study ourselves like a science experiment. We have to live our freedom and recognize our unique identities and accept that we're more than just a collection of traits. Let you up. Do you not know how to request up? I can tell if he doesn't know how to request. Hagar was Abraham's slave. Yeah, but Hagar wasn't forced to do anything.
There's no requesting thing.
There is. It says multi.
Is it a box in the corner?
There should
I
be.
just clicked on it. There's no box in the corner. Anyways, I mean, I just had a few questions.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned Hagar. Hagar wasn't a slave. She wasn't forced to do anything against her will. Was that you?
So,
Yeah. No, it wasn't you. Never mind. Okay, go ahead.
so it seems like you're a Christian, and you're just
Yeah.
saying abortion is child sacrifice?
Correct. Because you're.
Doesn't. So you're not saying like it's a live sacrifice or anything. You're just saying that it's just a sacrifice of a child. Does that mean it's wrong? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no. I mean, if you just said that, like the way that you were objectively looking at understanding of the self, if you truly have gone internally, then the uniqueness of all doesn't matter. Like the uniqueness of self matters to you, but the uniqueness of self does not matter to all. So the loss of any one is not actually a loss, you know? It sucks, and then it makes personal growth on people who cared with the thing that was lost,
So if
but
we
doesn't hurt
lose,
anything.
the loss of someone is not a real loss.
Yeah, because nothing is real.
We lost him, guys. We lost him. Not a real loss, though. Welcome, Crispy.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing well. What would you like to say?
Hey, man. Yeah, I see you're just talking about Christianity, and that's pretty cool. But I would just like to make a point that, our religion kind of stems from LeBron, and regardless of how you want to put it, LeBron's our glorious King and our Savior. Um, Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. That was really funny.
LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James,
Pretty much.
LeBron James,
LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. The second reason is that we're dealing here with the global situation of the self and the setting in which it finds itself. Recognition cannot be fragmented. Successive bits of knowledge are possible, but not successive recognition. It does not refer to this or that specific point. At issue is apprehension of the total condition of the one engaged in it. There is thus a double movement of recognition, the one from without inwards, which presupposes a knowledge of the being in its profoundest ordination, and the other from within outwards, which presupposes attack upon or involvement with this outer side. Naturally, the distinction between within and without is purely expository and pedagogic. It does not presuppose a break, as though the skin denoted qualitative distinction between inside and outside. The key term in what we are saying is movement. Movement with a twofold orientation. Hence, although the outside and the inside are differentiated, they can never be severed. What is he saying here? You know, I used to like really believe the idea like don't judge a book by its cover. But then I'm like, wait a minute. How we appear on the outside kind of does reflect who we are on the inside. I'm not sure what this passage is saying. I'm going to chat GPT it. ChatGPT is crazy. It's crazy helpful for reading books. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, so sorry. On the fifth point there, what's your basis to say science is a theistic concept?
Because science relies on things it has to borrow from, like Christianity, to make science possible.
Sorry, what's your basis in that though? Do you have any evidence to back that up?
Yeah, like there's things like logic, the uniformity of nature that science can't prove. And
Yeah, so you know what science is defined as?
the study of the natural world.
Yeah, and do you know what a theistic concept is defined as?
A concept like based on God.
Yeah, so one is completely rooted and based in faith, and the other is completely rooted and based in factual evidence that people go and find.
Right. So like Christianity would be based in fact, whereas like
Christianity
science
really
based.
isn't based in fact, though. It's a book written by it's a book written by refugees 4,500 years ago after they escaped slavery in Egypt.
And that book is the necessary precondition to have facts.
That book also said that a random bush in the middle of the desert just suddenly burst into flames.
Hell yeah. So without that book, there's no facts. That book is
Without that book, you wouldn't believe any other books to be not factual.
There wouldn't be.
That book was the first historical case of fictitious writing.
Well, okay. I think.
And that book was brought into an area with so many different religions that they had to record their own beliefs.
Yeah, so it's my position that the God of that book, the author of that book, is the word of God. That God makes facts true. And so if that God doesn't exist, then what would make a fact true?
Evidence, I believe, is the term. You know how when we want to convict someone based on a crime, say murder, we have to go out and find evidence that they did that? Yeah. If you can actually show, empirical evidence and data.
A fact is a state of affairs.
At any time, aside from what human beings believe, then you have nothing.
What makes a fact true?
Evidence.
No, that's not an answer.
But that is an answer.
No, it's not. So a fact is a state of
answer.
Because a fact is a state of affairs that would like make a proposition true.
A fact is not a state of affairs. Do you understand what affairs
so you don't even know what a fact is. Like
I do.
This is the problem. See, if you knew what a fact was, you would be
concept based on evidence.
No. A fact is a fact
The
is
earth exists in a gigantic
Oh my
hole
God.
of nothingness, only filled by other small rocks and giant energy sources. That is a fact based on the evidence that we have seen.
Fact is a state of
Or evidence that
affairs.
there
No.
is a space,
You're wrong.
there is a
No,
gravity,
okay.
and there is evolution. Then
Thanks for
God.
coming, Chris. Doesn't even know what a fact is. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello. Are you an adult?
Yes, I don't know why I said it like that. I have a child, so I always talk to her in that baby voice. I'm sorry. I'm 23. Sorry, dude.
I'm just asking, not because of how you said anything. It's just for time.
Oh, well,
It's like with
anyways.
women, it's harder to tell with women. Like a guy, you can kind of tell because his balls drop.
Yeah.
It's harder to tell with women.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any of those. But uh but anyways, dude, I'm just bored this morning and I'm going through and I'm like I'm trying to like request a live. Like I like debates, dude. And I don't know. I mean I'm a Christian, okay. And I've watched a lot of things and I read the Bible and stuff. And I know. Okay, but and I've watched a lot of things, and you can't disprove the existence of Jesus. You know what I mean? You can't disprove the fact that he ever existed. He did exist, and but Christianity came before. I mean, Jesus, he's omnipresent. He was there before, after, during all that. You know what I mean? But if you're thinking about it chronologically, I mean, Christianity was there and it came from something, but they were always talking about the Messiah. They were always talking about the Christ, and it's just I used to,
Oops, sorry.
no, sorry. I used to be a drug addict. And praise
say
the Lord. All
addict.
glory be to God. Go ahead, sorry.
You're a hug addict. We can't use that
Oh,
word.
sorry. Oops, forgive me, Father. But I was a hug addict. Well, I guess now I'm a hug addict. But yeah, but honestly, people like me, we're miracles, and I know that's so hard. But nothing in my life. I used to be an IV user. I'm 23 years old, and I've been doing it for 5 years. Okay. And I was down, and I don't know where I'm going with this.
She just left. I didn't. But that's rough shit. If you're doing those things. So hopefully God helped you with that. I don't know. She was going there. I know that a lot of people who have problems, they find help, like Christ helps them. I used to like drink a lot, like not a lot. See, my body, I could drink like 3 drinks, 4 drinks, and like I can't go beyond that. But I would drink every other day, not even every day, but every other day I would have like 3 drinks or 4 drinks. And I was living like that for a while, and then I don't know if it was like I became a Christian or what, but I quit drinking for like years. That might have been more just like, oh, I'm sick of this crap. I can't remember if that was before I became a Christian or after. But I know that like struggles with addiction, that's like real, and that a lot of people find like their faith in God can help them overcome. Yeah, that was like a while ago. That was like maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Welcome, user.
Hello.
Hello.
I saw the prompts and I don't really agree with any of them, but I mean, could you start with explaining the first one? Christianity is objectively proven.
Yeah, so we would think of like Christianity as a sort of like a foundational starting point belief, and foundational beliefs are proven through transcendental proofs. So I think there's like a transcendental argument that can demonstrate that only Christians have like a coherent foundation or like starting point for their beliefs. All the other starting points, any non-Christian starting point would make like knowledge impossible at a foundational level.
Wait, I mean, okay, if I understood you correctly, are you saying that like because a lot of laws and even societies, I mean, they may be structured around Christianity, especially in the West, but are you saying that that makes Christianity true? I
I'm saying it's true because like humans understand reality through story or a narrative, and the only story or narrative that can explain reality in a coherent like way is the Christian narrative in the Bible. So without that story, we couldn't explain observable data. Our foundational beliefs would be inconsistent with observable data.
Is there anything in particular, sure, you think would be?
Um, well, a big one I like to talk because I think this is the most easy. This can get kind of abstract because we're talking about like the fundamental parameters of reality. So, but one thing I think I always bring up the uniformity of nature. That there's like order in the physical world. There's a consistency in the physical world, so such as that every time you drop a pencil, it's going to fall to the earth due to gravity, right? So that's like a consistency. It's never like you drop the pencil and it goes up into outer space. So then the question would be like, why does the natural world behave in this like consistent manner where there's like patterns and we can use our like intellect to discern these patterns and all this stuff? And it relies on something called the uniformity of nature, or like you can think of it as the order or the consistency in the physical world. And only the Bible can explain that consistency because science can't prove it and philosophers can't prove it. So we need God to sort of reveal that knowledge to us, that there's going to be the future will resemble the past because that's part of God's plan. Without God's plan, then there's no reason to think the future will be like the past, which we need to believe to even like do science or do anything. So,
Well, I mean, it is true that we don't really know where the four fundamental constants in physics come from or why they're there.
well, that's a
But
fine tuning argument. I'm not really making that argument. I'm making the argument that like
what do you mean?
when we look at the physical world, we see order, and that order makes sense in a Christian conception of the world because God's plan is why there's order. So without God's plan, how do you explain the order? You can't. But that order's
Are you talking about biology or
no. I'm talking about like any consistency in the physical. Like when you talk, if there was no order in
yeah?
the world, every time you try to say a word, it would sound different. So every time you try to say car, it might sound like Coca-Cola. It might sound like princess. It could sound like Aladdin. It could sound like anything. But it doesn't. Every time you say car, it sounds like car because there's
Okay, but
consistency and order in the physical world.
well, yeah, but then it goes back to the constants because the only reason everything
Oh,
is the same physically is because they are constants, and therefore everything turns out the same if it's the same input every time.
that doesn't explain it. There's nothing in science that will explain why there's the consistency that you can talk.
Well, I
Science.
mean, sure, there's not any theories or theories that are proven or any s- even any super well supported hypotheses there are hypotheses, and to say that Christianity is the only one that proves it would be very weird to say, because you're using that as a argument to say why Christianity is true, which just kind of makes your argument circular.
It's not circular because I'm taking like the fact that you're talking, right? And then I go,
Mhm.
it's indirect, it's not circular. I go, what has to be true for you to talk? Well, for you to talk, there has to be uniformity of nature. And for there to be uniformity of nature, there has to be God's revelation, God's plan, making nature uniform. So this is a chain of logic. There's no circularity there.
Well,
You
well,
talk.
no, but
Yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry,
Go
continue.
ahead. No, you go ahead. I was just going to repeat
Okay.
myself.
Well, no, but I'm saying that there are um, theories on why it is as it is,
No,
but you just kind of
there aren't.
disregard them
No, there
and say
aren't.
that there are.
No. There's no attempt to prove the uniformity of nature. It's just something that we assume is true. We have a blind belief without reason to think that nature's uniform.
Well, well, no, I mean, we know how it works, but especially in philosophy and some kind of, I have.
I can't hear you when you alt tab. What am I yapping about? I'm yapping about the proof for Christianity.
I
I couldn't
I
hear
have
you.
heard people do physics who talk about certain hypotheses for why certain things are like there is. I can't. I mean, I can look them up quickly if you want, but there are tons of hypotheses on why it is like it is, but you just kind of disregard them because they aren't
Dude,
proven, or I mean, even well supported. Which you know, I don't blame you for not believing in any of those, and to believe that God is the reason for why.
but anytime
But
science can't prove it. If science were to attempt to prove it, it would have to presuppose it in the act of proving it. So that would be circular. It's impossible.
well, no,
What?
what? Okay, can you explain why any any potential proof would be circular?
Because you would have to assume that nature's uniform in the process of trying to prove that nature's uniform. So that would be circular. That's why there's no way to prove it. They don't even try to prove it.
Well, no, you don't have to.
They just assume it's true.
Well, no, you don't have to assume anything, because you can just
Yeah, you do.
observe things and
No,
measure it. Because I mean,
no,
we know.
no. To observe something, there has to be uniformity of nature. Without uniformity of nature, you can't even observe anything. It's
Well, but okay, but if it wasn't if there wasn't a uniformity when you observe things, it would you would get different outcomes. Therefore,
yes.
we can measure uh, physical constants that appear in the universe. So
Okay.
I mean, we know how it works. We just don't know where it comes from.
We don't know how. No, it's something we assume. We have no idea that the future will resemble the past. We just believe it without reason. But Christians have a reason to believe it. So this is a proof for Christianity. Because you believe something, right? That you believe the future resembles the past. Everyone believes this, but only Christians have a reason to think it's true. So when you believe this, and the only reason to support it, your belief comes from the Bible, that means you're believing in the Bible whether you admit it or not.
No, just because you believe something that um, that the Bible also agrees with, it just doesn't mean that it comes from the Bible.
Yes, it
If I
does. That means
believe
you're stealing from the Bible.
no, okay,
Yeah.
so okay, so if I believe the Earth exists, does that mean that I have to believe in it just because the Bible says so?
I mean, kind of, yeah, because like when you say the Earth exists, you're saying that like the Earth is a part of this like physical material world, but you would have no idea. You would have no basis to think the Earth was like a physical thing without the Bible.
But I mean, we can measure things that the
Yeah.
Earth is would be essential for. If, for example, if it didn't exist, we wouldn't have this gravity that we experience. For example, so you can measure it in other things. You can, I mean, visually, you can see it. Even without your eyes, you can use other instruments and things like that to see something that is completely, and in that way, your belief would be shaped completely independent by the Bible.
Well, no, because like you've had dreams where you can see things and touch things and measure things in dreams, but those things aren't real.
Yeah, that's why I said you can use other instruments.
Well, yeah, but like even in a dream, you could use other instruments and it's still not real. So there's no scientific proof that the external world is physical and real. That's just something that science believes without reason. And so this is why we need the Bible to know that the external world is physical and real. We need the Bible to know that there's like order in the world, that there's going to be like also a logical consistency or a logical order. And so when we deny the claims of the Bible, but then we live our life as if the claims of the Bible are true, then you are acting as if Christianity is true, whether you admit it or not. There's no way out of that.
Okay, so you're saying that because I don't live my life as if everything was an illusion, I'm living my life by the Bible?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't tell that makes sense because it's a because we have at least we experience a somewhat high level of consciousness in relative to other
Yeah, but
things. It would make complete sense to assume that it's not an illusion, because if everything is an illusion, it doesn't really work, because I mean, for example, in a dream, if you look up at the sky, it doesn't work. Your brain is not capable of producing illusions at such high complexity
of course
as
it
the real
is.
world
Of
is.
course. No, it is exact. It does exactly that. It's crazy how it does that.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
It does.
it can produce small illusions, as in, if you
No,
get a
dude, it creates a whole world when you dream at night. It's like a whole. You're in some external world in your mind, and there's no difference.
no.
Everything's
If you next time you dream, try to look up at the sky, or also this. It's a complete fact that when you dream, you will never see a face that you have never seen before in real life. That, for example, because we can uh, look at a face and really analyze it to like we can analyze it deeply, and because of that we can never see a face that we have never seen before. You can't see a sky that doesn't look painted in in a dream. You can never really experience
I
any
don't think this is
any level of pain that is in very low intensity.
okay. Well, I'm not. I don't really believe that. But
Well,
anyway.
well, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you believe it. You can look at studies. We can measure brain activity whenever we dream, and from those observations, we can see that it doesn't work.
I I disagree. I think I've experienced dreams that are virtually identical to reality. So I don't know how you think you can like determine the difference between a dream and reality. I don't think that's true.
Okay. In what sense would you? What makes you believe that they are so similar to reality?
I've had them. I've experienced them. You can't. It's when you're dreaming, it's as if you're in a physical external world. There's no difference. So that's the point. Like, how do we know the external world is physical? It could be like we're in the dream and it's not physical, and there's no scientific experiment that can prove it.
Of course there is.
Okay, thanks for coming.
The-
Welcome, Mew.
Hi.
Hello. What would you like to say?
Can you prove your first point?
Yeah, the transcendental argument would prove Christianity objectively. If we
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, it's the argument about your starting point or your like first principle. So I start with the Christian God, and when you start with the Christian God, you can have like a coherent worldview. Like knowledge is possible. Logic has a referent, the mind of God. The world has order because God's divine plan, he orders the world. And so without that starting point, you don't have any of those things. You don't have you don't have any you wouldn't be able to experience the world in an intelligible way, like if any position other than Christianity was true.
Those are just claims, not
No, that was an argument.
objectivity.
No, it's objective because like everybody's worldview or your starting point has to provide the necessary precondition to even like make a debate possible. So that's why it's objective, because your position can't account for the ability to debate. Only Christians can debate.
What? Is that a serious thing you believe?
Yeah, that's the argument.
That's just a claim, though. Like, you're just making claims without any proof for these
It's
claims.
not a claim, it's an argument. So like I'm saying there's like a necessary relationship between knowledge and God, right? And so if knowledge exists, then God must also exist, because you can't have one without the, like you can't have an apple without an apple tree. Apples require necessarily apple trees. So this is like knowledge, right? Knowledge requires God, like the apple requires the apple tree. So to deny God would be like to deny knowledge.
But that is not true at all. Knowledge just requires a sentient being.
No. Knowledge requires things like identity over time, cause and effect, uniformity of nature, the reliability of your senses. Only God can explain those things.
You're just listing random things that you don't even understand.
No, I'm not. I'm making an argument that you're just ignoring my argument.
Yes, because you change just random things and you don't prove any of these arguments. You just make like some weird new argument every single time.
What the fuck, dude? It's an argument. There's nothing wrong with the
Yeah.
argument.
Well, prove that it's true instead of just saying
That is the proof.
that knowledge requires God. Like,
Dude, you prove things are true with arguments, and I gave you an argument, right? If knowledge, then God. We have knowledge, therefore God. That's the argument.
and prove that that's true. Like that's just a claim, not.
I did.
No, you didn't. You claimed something. Wait, your argument is just some circular argument with no.
It's not
proof.
circular. What's the circularity?
You said knowledge requires God, and God exists, essentially.
Here's the argument. There it is. See? If knowledge, then God. Knowledge exists. Conclusion, God exists.
Yeah, that's just a false conclusion.
You said it was circular, so you want to admit you were wrong about that?
No,
Oh, where's the circularity?
because the conclusion is false.
But that's not circularity. Circularity is when the conclusion is in the premise.
It it's circular because you're saying God exists because you've just named like two things. It's like saying bees exist because of apples. Therefore, apples are real because bees exist. Like P1 is just nonsense.
Okay.
You just said is one of
That's not...
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Why did the audio sound different? Why? Where are my pictures? What the fuck? Where's my pictures? What? Oh man, everything is messed up. What the heck? Okay, here's my. There we go. Dude, that's so ridiculous. You make an argument and then they go, "Oh, that's a claim." Well, yeah, no shit. Arguments have claims. That's just an assertion. Okay. So the self and its environment. The self isn't just an isolated thing, it's connected to the world around it. When you recognize yourself, you can't just focus on one small part of yourself, like a specific emotion or action. You have to understand the whole picture. This means looking at both who you are on the inside, your thoughts, feelings, and identity, and how you interact with the world outside of you, your environment, relationships, and actions. So recognizing your true self isn't something you can do in little pieces, bit by bit. It's not about gaining one small insight after another. Recognition is an all-encompassing, ongoing process that involves both parts, your inner world and the outer world. It's like understanding the whole puzzle, not just focusing on one piece. The double movement of recognition. To truly understand yourself, there's a two-way process. The first movement is from the outside. You recognize how the world and other people shape you. You understand how the outside world influences your beliefs, actions, and identity. The second movement is from the inside out. You also need to look at your own inner thoughts, desires, and experiences and see how they shape your actions in the world. There's no clear line between the inside and the outside. There's no sharp dividing line between the inner self and the outer world. It's like your body is a strict boundary, or it's not like your body is a strict boundary between inside and outside. Instead, there's two worlds, your internal experience and the external world, and they're interconnected. So the key is the movement between them. Recognizing who you are isn't just about understanding the parts of yourself or looking at only at your thoughts or only at your actions. It's about seeing yourself as a whole, where your inner experiences and the world around you shape each other. The way you recognize yourself moves both inward, your thoughts and feelings, and outward, how you interact with the world. And these two sides are always connected. Having recalled these generalities, which are in no sense original, we must now ask about the content of recognition. To the degree that this is that of a Christian, the act has two orientations. It is a recognition of the work of Christ for him and in him, of his liberation, the fact of the appropriation of this freedom. This might seem to be enough, for basically, after this knowledge is gained, what more is there to hope for or expect? Transition from the work done to the work done for me, it always seems to be enough for Christians. What transition from the work done to the work done for me always seems to be enough for Christians. But I believe that it is precisely this conviction which produces the feebleness of manifestations of the incarnation of faith and the lack of ethical imagination. This is essential and decisive. This is the essential and decisive thing in the relation with God, without which there is nothing. But if it becomes exclusive and not just privileged, it can finally sterilize the Christian life. This brings us to the very heart of one of the most serious problems for Christians, naturally the work of the Holy Spirit in leading us into all truth, in enabling us to participate in Christ's work, and in making salvation personal is decisive. But after that, here we come up against three general attitudes. Dude, I am confused. Work in Christ in him, the work of Christ for him and in him, of his, the fact that of appropriation. I guess he's just talking about like actions as opposed to knowledge or something. I'm not really sure. How come ChatGPT can always understand what he's saying? I can't fucking understand it. Like, but then I can understand what ChatGPT says. I don't get it. Am I just bad at English? My reading comprehension is bad. White people are uneducated. Too much Karen. Get mad by Muslim. Jesus is human. What are we reading? I'm reading The Ethics of Freedom by Jacques Ellul. Welcome, Jumbo.
Thank you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What would you like to say?
I'm atheist,
Okay.
and I was just scrolling by. I saw your live, and I wanted to ask you because I'm confused when I think about the idea of God, at least the God of the Bible, right? And I've heard many times that allegedly or supposedly God has a plan for salvation.
Yeah.
And then so that leads me to believe that the plan for salvation has to be like it's eternal, meaning that plan always existed. There was never a point where God all of a sudden said, "Oh, I need to begin a plan." The plan must have always been. Is that accurate?
I don't. I mean, he has a plan for creation. Then he has a plan for redemption.
Right. Now, what I'm saying, like the plan for salvation was always in existence. If God's mind always existed,
Okay.
he doesn't come up with
Yeah.
plans.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So if the plan for salvation always existed, that means the fall always existed. Like the plan, the fall is part of the plan because in order to be saved, there needs to be a fall.
Yeah.
So that leads me to
Well,
believe.
the fall wouldn't always exist, though. The fall doesn't exist until like Adam and Eve.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, maybe I misspoke. The fall is also part of the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the fall is part of the plan, and it always existed, the plan always existed before Adam and Eve, that means that Adam and Eve did not have free will.
No, that doesn't follow. Because even if God has knows everything ahead of time and he chooses his plan for the world, nothing is actually accomplished apart from humans. So human actions, choices, and their partnership with God is how his plan is worked out in the world.
Well, can anything outside of God's plan occur?
No.
So if nothing outside of God's plan can occur, and God's plan is eternal, if Adam and Eve sinning is part of God's plan, Adam and Eve not sinning was eternally impossible.
Okay.
So if something is impossible, and it's a choice, or it could have been a choice, right? In this case, if you eliminate a possibility, there's only one possible outcome. Where is the free will other than just an illusion in the mind?
Yeah, the free will would be it's God's plan that you have freedom and you can make choices. You're responsible for those choices. God doesn't cause your choices. That's part of his plan. That's where it is.
That's part of his plan.
Yeah, it's his plan that you have freedom.
But how can them choosing to sin or not be part of his plan if the fall, if them sinning, was also part of the plan?
I'm not following you.
So you're saying it's free will because God's plan is for them to choose whether they wanted to sin or not. But we're also saying that God's plan, it was them sinning.
No, God's plan would have been that humans have a choice.
Humans have a choice.
And then they use that choice to rebel, and so then he has a plan of redemption.
Yeah, but we just agreed that the redemption plan, the salvation plan, was eternal. Which equates to the fall, Adam and Eve sinning, being a necessity in order for salvation, for the plan for salvation to take place.
They didn't have to rebel against God.
But if they didn't rebel against God, then there would be no salvation.
It's not a necessity, it would be contingent. Because they could have chosen otherwise.
So then we have to say that the plan is not eternal, and the plan can change or adapt depending on the choices we make.
Well, we just say that the choices are a part of the plan, and that's what I said 5 minutes ago, but you persist on this beating this dead horse where I've showed how you're wrong, and you keep beating the dead horse. So the fuck's wrong with you?
Nothing is. Well, there might be something wrong with me. Maybe I don't know, but it just doesn't make sense to me. That's why I'm just.
Oh. Well,
you don't have to kind of.
I guess you have to go to hell then.
I don't know why you get triggered like that, but
I'm not triggered, man. It's because I answered your question. You're like, how can there be a free will? It don't make sense.
You're saying God's plan is this.
My brain is exploding. And I go, look, it's really simple. Free will, freedom is a part of God's plan. So our actions, choices, and our partnership with God are how his plan is worked out. That's the answer to your question. Do you want to ask the question again? And then I'll answer it again the exact same way. Is that what you want to do? Forever in circles?
No.
Oh.
Right. I just think the answer doesn't make sense. That's all.
No, then I think you're going to go to hell. That's what I think.
Will it be better than heaven?
No, you are going to suffer. It's going to suck. So I suggest you repent, become a Christian, so you don't have to go to hell.
Can I wait till the last day before I die?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Yeah.
And you're going to be in heaven with this attitude for eternity?
Well, if I'm in heaven, I hope I get to watch you burn in hell.
I mean, if I'm burning in hell, for eternity, at some point, I'll become numb to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally, dude.
Are you scared of hell?
No.
You're not scared of hell?
No.
Are you scared of like having the wrong doctrine and maybe Jesus isn't God?
That's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Are you scared of dying and never actually realizing that you were wrong the whole time and that there's no life after death?
How could I be? What would it mean to be wrong if Christ doesn't like determine what's right and wrong?
Christ doesn't determine what's right and wrong.
Yeah, like what?
You believe
The
something
way-
to be true
so-
and it's false.
As far as I can tell, the way we can know what's right and wrong is through God's revealing right and wrong to us. So how would you know right and wrong without God?
If something is false, if something does not exist, if something is untrue and you believe it to be true, I don't think God has anything to do with that.
You just arbitrarily decide what's right and wrong, what's true and false. It's just what you feel like, your feelings.
I don't know about right and wrong, but good and bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's just your feelings, huh?
Have you ever been diagnosed with any mental infirmities?
I was an atheist at one point.
When you were an atheist, if somebody were to ask you, do you believe Jesus is God, what would you have said?
No.
And if I asked you why not, what would you have said?
I would have said, well, I hate my parents.
That would have been your answer. Jesus is not God because you hate your parents.
Does any atheist have a good answer for that? They basically say something like they hate their parents, so God doesn't exist.
That's what you would have said?
Yeah.
That's why you
I hate mom and dad. I don't believe in God. That's what I would say.
If you kill yourself, do you go to heaven?
This is what they do. Welcome, Andre.
Hello, how you doing?
We're doing well. What would you like to say?
So, one point that you made while you were on, you had the other guest over here. You made a point that said, I cannot wait to go to heaven to watch you burn in hell.
Yeah.
How is that in any way, shape, or form what Jesus stands for?
Well, because like Jesus is about like justice, right?
Jesus is about forgiveness, not about justice.
Well, no.
Yes.
No. He thinks justice is important.
Tell me one time that Jesus judged someone.
One time that he judged someone.
Mm-hmm.
Off the top of my head. Okay, how about the Pharisee and the tax collector, right?
Right. He was mad. He destroyed their sitting places, right? But he didn't judge them.
No, he in the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, he judges that the tax collector would go home justified, and the Pharisee was not justified before God. Or the parable of the Good Samaritan, he judged the Good Samaritan to be justified, and the Levites and the Pharisee were not justified, right? So that would be a judgment. Or like when he forgives sins, that would be a judgment.
Mm-hmm. And do you believe that you have judgment power?
No.
Then why go to the borderline?
Because I enjoy justice, right? So all these like dickheads, atheists who like in bad faith debate me and bullshit and lie. It's I'm gonna take pleasure. It'll be fun for me to see them burning in hell, right? Because it's like I was right, you were wrong, right? That would be like satisfying, right? that they're getting what they deserve.
So I want to give a bit of background, a bit of my background. I was raised in a Christian family.
Mm-hmm.
I distance myself from the traditional Christianity from the church, but I still believe in Jesus and in God.
Okay.
However, you saying I cannot wait to watch you burn in hell,
Right.
it does not strike me as anything that a mentally sane person will want to be part of.
Okay. Don't you think criminals should be punished? Like,
You think that we should take pleasure in punishing them?
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's sadistic. That's what it is. It's sadistic.
I might be sadistic then. I enjoy watching the downfall of a self-righteous, sanctimonious piece of crap. I do take pleasure in that. Is that wrong? Maybe it's wrong, but it is what it is.
If heaven is a place of love, right, of love and peace, why take joy in watching others suffer?
Because they deserve it. Because people, like, if someone, like, imagine Ted Bundy, right? He made a lot of people suffer. And so then justice, we make him suffer for what he did. That's justice. He paid it. He has a debt to society, and so he pays the debt with his life. He pays the capital punishment. And all the victims' families of Ted Bundy, they probably felt justice. They felt good that the right thing was done.
Do you believe the punishment on earth is the same as that in the afterlife?
No.
Right. You do something here on earth, you will be judged by mortals, by humans.
Mm-hmm.
You keep doing it, but you will also be judged in the afterlife. If you do not think that it is the same here on earth and in the afterlife, how can you say that justice out of pleasure is justified?
What do you, I mean, like, how would anything be right or wrong on your system?
For once, not on a moral compass, not taking pleasure when someone is suffering feels pretty, hey, this is how the world should work.
Okay, but like, there's it's just like your opinion, right? You have no basis to say anything's right or wrong. So I don't even know why you're complaining. You see how that's a problem? That's why you got to be a Christian, dude.
What if you were born in a, outside of luck, pure luck? What if you were born in literally any other geographical location in Earth? What if your parents were both Muslim? You were born into a Muslim family.
Then I would become Christian.
Have you read the Quran?
No.
What makes you think that you will read the Bible if you were Muslim? If you were born in a Muslim family?
I can't really answer. If I answer this question, I'll get banned.
How so?
Yeah, I can't really talk about that.
Right. You know how we mention, instead of saying the S word, we say unpaid internship on TikTok, right? Instead of saying the K word, we say offing someone. Use that kind of words. Make it sound better so you don't get banned.
Well, I mean, I would never be a part of that cult. Like that shit.
But it's not a cult; it's a religion.
No, it's goofy.
Based on what arguments?
Just like interact with them, dude.
I did.
Yeah.
I have explored other religions.
That should just interact with them. That should tell you right there all you need to know. Like I
have explored other religions, and you know what I found? That there are so many similarities between all of them.
Oh, okay.
So I ask you one more time, what would make you pick up the Bible if you were not lucky enough to be born into Christianity?
Everyone in the world knows who Jesus is, right? And so,
right. Jesus exists in the Muslim religion as well.
Right. So I would have studied Jesus. I would have known if I was born in a Muslim family. I would have known that was stupid because it's like so obvious.
Why? You have not read the Quran. How do you know what they believe in?
If I could go into details, I'll get banned.
Why will you get banned?
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for running.
I'm not running, dude. I answered your question. You keep asking. I told you I don't want to get banned.
And I quote, I do not want to answer this.
Listen, dude.
You are running away from questions.
Andre, listen, dickhead. I've answered that question in the past, and I get banned. I don't want to get fucking banned. You got it?
You are insulting people. You are running them off your life. You are refusing to answer questions. You are arguing.
Do you want to answer questions?
You are using
questions? Do
you
want to answer my
questions? That you mind to be banned. But you don't care about using curse words.
Hey,
you
are
losing
questions?
You are getting mad. Don't get mad. We are here to have an argument.
Yeah, do you want to answer questions? Do you want to answer questions?
I have not treated you with anything else but respect. Please
do not use that. I asked you not to ask me that question. You kept asking the question. How is that respectful, dickhead?
How is it respectful you calling me this?
How is that respectful?
Where's the crush out coming out from?
I asked you to not ask a question, and you kept asking the question. That's not respectful. That's disrespectful. You're an asshole. Now, do you want to answer some of my questions? Are you a fucking atheist? Are you a fucking atheist?
I am not.
What are you?
I believe in God and in Christ. I do not have a religion. I do not like Christianity because of people like you.
Okay. Well, good luck in hell. Fucking idiot. I don't like people like you. You say that you gonna like it when someone burn in hell? Well, I don't like you. I am better than you, 'cause you don't like people burning. You like it when people burn in hell, so I am better than you. I'm not like you. I'm not a Christian. I just follow Jesus. I am not a Christian. I follow Jesus. Look at the Christians. Pathetic. Fucking asshole. What an asshole. Recognition of Christ's work. Recognizing Christ's work for you. When Christians come to faith, a big part of that is recognizing the work that Christ has done for them. This means understanding that Jesus' life, death, and resurrection have set them free from sin and have given them freedom. This recognition is like realizing that a huge debt has been paid on your behalf, and now you have the freedom to live a new life. So it's not just about knowing that Christ did something for you. It's also about realizing that his work transforms your life from the inside. Christ's freedom isn't just a one-time event. It's something that continues to shape your actions, thoughts, and heart. It's about both understanding and experiencing Christ's work in your life. What's wrong with insults? Jesus used insults. I think insults can be effective. Like, remember when people used to smoke cigarettes all the time? And then, like, the whole world just kept insulting all the people that smoked cigarettes. And now not very many people smoke cigarettes because of all the insults. And we saved a lot of lives through insulting people. Wasn't that great?